Coming up next on Locked On Devils, 2 years, $6 million, another unacceptable performance by Jacob Markstrom.
You're Locked On Devils, your daily podcast on the New Jersey Devils, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Let me get this straight. You have a goalie who is 35 years old, coming off a knee injury, has had 2 bad performances before the injury, and has the worst game of his NHL career in Colorado. And you decide that now is the perfect time to extend him. Why? My name is Zach Berman. This is Locked On Devils. Thanks for stopping by. And thank you for tuning into part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Devils lose 5-3 to the Philadelphia Flyers, an unacceptable loss. And yes, I know, I was getting a lot of hate on Twitter yesterday. Oh my God, it's only November. You're freaking out. You're overreacting. No, I'm not overreacting, and I'm going to tell you exactly why I am not overreacting. That's not to say that you're not allowed to feel otherwise. You certainly are. It's a free country. You're allowed to say what you think. I'm not going to argue with you. This is just my opinion. This is how I feel. The Metropolitan Division is so unbelievably tight right now. 6 points separates first from last. 6 points separates everybody keeps their jobs versus everybody loses their jobs. 6 points separates playoffs versus Gavin McKenna. That is where we're at right now. This is not a normal season. This is not a normal division, and this is not a normal divisional loss in November, because most other seasons, you lose this game November 29th, and it's not that big of a deal. This is not that at all. The New Jersey Devils are still in first place in the Metropolitan Division somehow, but they are 1 point ahead of Carolina, 2 points ahead of Philly, 3 points ahead of Washington, 4 points ahead of both Pittsburgh and the Islanders, 5 ahead of the Rangers, 6 ahead of the Jackets. These are not games that they can afford to lose with how tight the standings are. You lose 3-4 games in a row, and all of a sudden, you're on the outside looking in. And it is not easy to jump back into the race once you fall out. And the New Jersey Devils have a tough week ahead of them. They have Columbus tomorrow night. Columbus, team that's at the bottom of the Metro right now, but only, like I said, by 6 points. Dallas, one of the best teams in the league, Wednesday night. Vegas, a tough team, Friday night. And the Bruins, who are totally overachieving right now, but still looking pretty good, Saturday night. This is not an easy slate for the New Jersey Devils right now. They are beaten up because of Jack Hughes and Brett Pesce and Jonathan Kovacevic being out. There's underperformance across the lineup, save for a few guys. And then you have Jacob Markstrom, who I understand why some fans want Jake Allen to be the de facto number 1 goalie. He can't be, because he has proven over the course of his National Hockey League career that once you play him over 40 games, his production significantly decreases. We saw what happens if you play him too many times last Saturday against Philly. You need to have Jake Allen on a pitch count, especially if I believe the New Jersey Devils are ultimately going to want him as their starting goalie in the playoffs, should they get there. So they're going to need Jacob Markstrom to step up. They can't call Nico Daws up because Nico Daws is out of... Nico Daws, you cannot bring him up, because if you try and send him back down, he's waiver eligible. You could lose him for nothing. And God forbid Tom Fitzgerald has to admit a mistake this early on when, a goalie who is 35 years old, coming off a knee injury and some of the worst performances in his career, let's rush this extension through, handcuff the team for years to come. The money doesn't matter. Like, 2x6. Yeah, it's way too much money given the production, of course. But if Jacob Markstrom was playing average, it is a decent contract for a goalie. It is not the fact that it's not what they're paying him. It's the fact that they are paying him. And if he keeps on playing like this, he is an 874 save percentage. Vitek Vanacek had close to a 900. He had an 890 in the year that the New Jersey Devils sent him away to San Jose, and he was terrible that year. John Gillies, who I think many would argue is the worst Devils goalie of our lifetime, until Jacob Markstrom. He had a better save percentage in his Devils tenure than Jacob Markstrom has this year. Jacob Markstrom has been a joke. And I'm not saying all 4 goals yesterday were on him, but enough of them were to the point where it is unacceptable. It was not just Jacob Markstrom that had an unacceptable performance yesterday. Luke Hughes should be benched tomorrow night. They can't bench him because they are so banged up that if you're not playing Luke Hughes, you're playing Dennis Cholowski, who is also unplayable. But Luke Hughes, if this team were fully healthy, he is riding the pine tomorrow, and rightfully so. It's not a surprise to me that he's not great, given the fact that it's well known that players who sit out and hold out for contracts during training camp tend to not be great once they come back in. Look at Dawson Mercer last year. Look at Willie Nylander a few years ago. But Luke Hughes, who is getting paid $9 million per year, is unplayable right now. Simon Nemec was really bad in his own end yesterday. I'm not going to deny that. But unlike Luke Hughes, Simon Nemec has been bringing plenty of offense. He's scoring. Luke Hughes looks like he has the worst wrist shot in the NHL right now. What happened there? He's not generating any offense. And he's a liability in his own end. We know what he is capable of. I am not saying he is a bad hockey player, and I think he just needs to get right. But right now, he is playing terribly. And this team can't afford that. Dougie Hamilton has been terrible, but you can't defend that either. Dougie Hamilton has been awful. How many times did he fail to keep the puck in the offensive zone yesterday? How many grade A scoring chances did that lead to for Philadelphia last night? What I think the Devils need to do is you can't have Luke and Nemec together after yesterday. Needs to go back to Nemec and Siegenthaler, Luke Hughes and Brendan Dillon, and we haven't seen Dougie Hamilton and Colton White together yet. We saw Hamilton and Cholowski. We have not seen Hamilton and White, and obviously Colton White has been way, way better than Dennis Cholowski. Colton White looks at least serviceable, which once the Devils get healthy, he's either going to be a great piece for Utica or great in a trade to go somewhere else. And I think his play has been very appreciated by this fan base, his coaching staff. I can only imagine. But let's walk through the goals because it's frustrating. Dan Vladar was picked off the scrap heap by Philadelphia, and he's got a 912. He was the difference yesterday. He was the difference yesterday. Okay, first goal, I'm not pinning on Jacob Markstrom. Owen Tippett from Christian Dvorak and Trevor Zegras, and Luke Hughes pinches. Simon Nemec pinches a little too hard, and Tippett, one of the fastest skaters in the league, gets to the puck, gets to the net, slides home the backhand on the nice feed from Dvorak, 1-0. That was a bad play by Simon Nemec. Way too aggressive in the neutral zone, and Philadelphia burns him. However, Nemec ties the game up on a slot shot. It beats Vladar, which... Why was Dan Vladar so good? For the second time in a week, Dan Vladar was the difference. And it's really grinds my gears. Nemec from Bratt and Heischer to tie the game. I know Devils fans are getting on Jesper Bratt because he has not been scoring. But look, Timo Meier was not scoring, and now he is on a heater right now. Bratt had 2 assists yesterday. Jesper Bratt is fine. I am not worried about Jesper Bratt, and you shouldn't be either. The goals will come. He is producing. He is driving good 5-on-5 play. Least of my concerns right now. He is at the bottom of that list. The second goal is where I'm losing my mind. The second Philadelphia goal. For so many reasons. Luke Hughes pinches in the neutral zone. He gets caught. Devils can't catch up to him. Matvei Mishkov puts it on goal, puts it right into the pads of Jacob Markstrom. Granted, it was a point-blank chance. And Markstrom just lets it go through him. What are you doing? How does that go in? That can't go in. That cannot go in. Right through him. He can't get across in time. He's moving like a snail. He's probably still hurt. I don't know why the New Jersey Devils felt the need to ride or die with Jacob Markstrom. If I were Devils ownership and Tom Fitzgerald walked into my office, if I were Jake Reynolds, Tom Fitzgerald walks into my office and the GM of the New Jersey Devils is like, hey, this goalie has been playing terrible. He just came off a knee injury. 2 years, $6 million. I fire him right then and there. It is a fireable offense to extend Jacob Markstrom in that spot. Fireable. Not the first fireable thing that Tom Fitzgerald has done. I've wanted him gone since 23-24. But this is the kind of thing that is so egregious. As a Giants fan, it almost feels like something straight out of Dave Gettleman's playbook. Completely inexplicable, completely predictable how this would go. And when Jacob Markstrom got hurt, when he went down, I felt like it was a blessing in disguise for the organization. Surely Tom Fitzgerald is not stupid enough to realize that, hey, maybe we shouldn't be rushing this through, and maybe this injury gives us a little bit of time to regroup and think about, hey, this isn't such a good idea. Nope, not at all. 2 years, $6 million. The extension doesn't even kick in till next year. He might get bought out. He probably should be bought out. I'd buy him out tonight and wouldn't have second thoughts about it. Whew. 3-1 Philadelphia. Mishkov again. From Konechny in New York, this was deflected. I don't have too many qualms about that. Devils just couldn't clear the zone. Luke and Nemec, again, at the scene of the crime. They were on the ice for all 4 Philadelphia goals that were not empty netters yesterday. Just a bad night for both of them all the way through. 4-1, this is where the game just felt cursed. Breakaway for Jesper Bratt, who is so snake-bitten right now, rings it off the post. Nemec and Luke get caught again, and it turns into a 2-on-1 the other way. Tip it to Zegras, and Jacob Markstrom slides across. I mean, I get it. I'm not going to act like I can make that save, or anybody who's watching this podcast, you probably can't make that save either. But Jacob Markstrom, when he's healthy, he's shown he can be flexible enough to make that stop. He's clearly not healthy because he gets like 80% of it, but not enough to the point where the puck goes into the back of the net. That goal winds up ultimately deciding the hockey game. I get it. It's a 2-on-1. You can't allow that to happen. But you can't let that in. You can't let that goal in that situation. And it sucks that Jesper Bratt, who had such a good play to spring the breakaway, rings it off the post. Oh, I need him to get hot. I think he needs himself to get hot too. I'm not worried about him. I just said that. I know I'm repeating myself. This is a one-taker, and I'm mad that my team is 16-8-1 and still feels like they're on the precipice of falling apart. Okay. Breathe, Zach, breathe. Speaking of Timo Meier, he's been red hot, scores to make it 4-2. And then how about Dawson Mercer? A little light in the darkness yesterday, possibly the goal of the year from a New Jersey Devil thus far. Dangles around 3 Flyers plus Dan Vladar and slides home a backhand. And at that point, I felt like the Devils could tie the game. They ultimately don't. And here's the point in time where everyone's going to get mad about the refs. And let me be clear. Luke Hughes gets high-sticked. There's blood drawn. Not much blood, but enough to the point where he's getting stitches in the tunnel. And the referees come together, they discuss it, and they don't call a penalty. Not even a 2-minute. Like, we all saw the replay a billion times yesterday. I don't know how you missed that. Like, oh man. At this point in time, it was 4-3, and the Devils ended up getting a power play afterwards and couldn't score on it. So I'm not going to sit here and say that penalty decided the game. But and I'm not someone that's going to blame the refs for a loss. But you got to call that in that spot. That's not the reason the Devils lost, but that is an inexplicable miss by NHL officiating. They had a good look at it too. Like I said on Twitter, if Sheldon Keefe wants to start a GoFundMe for the fine that I hope he brought upon himself yesterday at the postgame presser, just send me the link, man. Like, I think the entire fan base has your back in this regard. The Devils ended up not being able to tie the game, and Owen Tippett gets credited with an awarded empty net goal. I'm not sure if it should have been awarded, but Nemec with the trip, I guess you kind of had to. Yeah, it was an infuriating loss. And I understand that. Like, I get it. They're 16-8-1. They lead the Metro right now. Zach, don't be so mad. You're being irrational. You cannot have a goalie with an .874 save percentage set to make what Jacob Markstrom is about to make. Forget the financials. You can't even have him on the roster. This is, you know what? It's inexplicable. There was no need to sign him to that contract. No need. And it's going to wind up costing the Devils until Tom Fitzgerald either accepts his mistake, cuts his losses, or loses his job. And if Jacob Markstrom keeps on playing like this, the New Jersey Devils can only do so much to cover it up, because we've seen in the past what bad goaltending can do to a good team. And I'm not saying this is a great team. I'm not even saying this is a good team. This is a team of one line, couple of young defensemen, and a great head coach, and Jake Allen standing on his head most nights. They've gotten lucky in a lot of these games. And sure, you take lucky wins over lucky losses. But we've watched enough of this team over the years to know where that at any given point, they are one rough game away from falling apart. That has been the Devils' mantra for years, except for 22-23. That was the one year where that did not happen. Every other year, it feels like they're always on the precipice of that collapse, regardless of who's coach, who's playing, who's healthy, who's not. Usually Jack Hughes being unhealthy is the catalyst for all of this. But look, Jacob Markstrom has to get better, or the Devils have to cut their losses with him, because this is not going to fly. And I get it. Sheldon Keefe said yesterday that if it weren't for Jacob Markstrom, they would have given up 10 goals, which we all know is not the case. But Sheldon Keefe's a veteran head coach. You don't throw your goalie under the bus, even if it is, in fact, the right take. And that is how you make enemies in the locker room. Good on Sheldon Keefe for not falling on that grenade, but at the same time, he's getting to a point where you can tell he's got to bite his tongue. Jacob Markstrom has to be better, or the New Jersey Devils are not in a good position to accomplish anything near what they're looking to accomplish as an organization. And that is all I have for right now.